Time to call to order this meeting of the Civil Service Merit Board on March 13th, 2024. And first, let's call the roll. Stephanie Taylor.
Present.
Okay, Mark Duke.
Present.
And Jane Roberts.
Present.
Okay, and I'm Bill Lyons, I'm present, so we have a quorum. First item is the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting that was held on February 14th. You have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Okay, that minutes are approved. So I think the next item is our reports involving litigation. Mr. Winchester.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nothing to report this month. Thank you.
Mr. Shields.
Nothing to report this month, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Wow. You don't know it, George, but you come across quite with a good deal of volume. Yeah.
That's good to know. I'll try to maybe do it in a whisper next time.
Okay, it's time for the staff report.
Sorry about that volume, George. Somebody had it like all the way up. Okay, for today's staff report. I had reported for the last couple of months that we had identified a need to find a better way to house sick leave bank data. Hopefully we will soon be transitioning that off to the benefits department. And it turns out that the new PeopleSoft tool that I have been telling you about that's going to be implemented hopefully this year, that our IT director had already identified a way for that to house the sick leave bank. So he requested that module, so we should have that in a built-in product, so it won't even require anything extra. So as we roll into that new product, that will also become a new place to house the sick leave bank. So one thing checked off my list. I'm still working on amendments to the cadet program and the accelerated advancement program with KBD. Those, when we finally get to a place where we're happy with it, KBD's happy with it, that's something that then I will eventually bring before the board. We'll have a public hearing for a formal rule change. But at this stage, we're still just working informally through that process. I have gotten some drafts to Bill and Mike on the cadet. So it looks like we're very close to getting somewhere with that one. So I'm gonna talk to them about that one hopefully today, if not today, very soon, so we can maybe get that one before you guys to make some improvements to both of those programs. And the need is based on the changes we've made in the last year or so to the way that we're doing recruiting for police officer. It's created needs in both of those to kind of catch up and work better and more seamlessly with the way that we're recruiting and hiring now. We currently have 2 active appeals of disciplinary action that are set with hearing officers. We have 1 active grievance that has been set with a hearing officer, and 1 active complaint of discrimination in promotion that's currently under review. One of the items before you today involves 2 of our animal control officers. So I just wanted to kind of give you a little background on that to explain why those are before you and what's happening there. We currently have 5 animal control officers that work in the police department. If you've been following council, you see that those are being moved. That function is being moved to Young Williams. So several months ago, Brooke at KPD contacted me to find out what the options were. And I love that KPD jumped ahead of this before there was ever actually a need to discuss layoff. And the good news is there will be no layoffs. We have no layoffs. We have several options. So of those 5 employees, 2 have requested to transfer to a lower skill level to remain with the city. They have been accepted by those departments. You have that before you today. That is something that's within the board's authority to certify. 2 are moving into the PSR program, which is that sort of pre-police officer recruit for y'all's purposes. It's that temporary position that they use for training until they have an academy, and then hopefully those 2 will roll into the next police academy as police officer recruits. And 1 has opted to remain with the animal control program and is going to Young Williams. So there will actually be no layoff. She has already accepted a position over there and will start before the layoff would have occurred. So the good news is there aren't any layoffs. And 2 of those will require your action, and those are before you on the agenda today. We do have a request for firefighter posting. It is not up yet. Right now, KFB is still reviewing that posting, but that probably will go up this week to recruit for firefighters. We usually do that about once a year, and it's almost always in March. So this will probably be the last time recruiting for firefighters, this thing. The budget has been submitted, as I have told you guys before. It's not really, we don't choose a number, we're given a number, and I simply allocate, and I don't know that it made it into your packet. I'm looking, I don't see it. I will send that out to you guys. It didn't, I had it as a separate item, so it didn't make it to you, but I will email that out. Because basically you get to do the same thing I do, you basically get to look at it. You don't have to formally adopt it. But essentially what I did is I identified where there might be some needs. It was kind of interesting for me this year because the budget that I was submitting, half of it will be my budget and half of it will be someone else's budget. So I was trying to anticipate needs that might occur after I'm gone. So I did move some of the, we're looking at some testing processes that we're improving. So I left enough money in professional services to ensure that we had money for those. And I moved funds that I felt like could be allocated to something else into training, because I thought there might be a need for staff training, depending on what transition takes place at the end of this calendar year. So I did move some of those funds into training. The thing to know is those funds can always be diverted into a different account if 12 months from now someone says, hey, we don't have enough money in this account, I wish it was in this one. Finance usually is very agreeable to move those funds. So it's really just a projection, but I will email that copy out after the board meeting. And just in case it wasn't obvious, and I'm gonna make the formal announcement, is that my retirement date is anticipated to be January 31st. So it may seem very early to start having conversations about filling my position, but because you're a board and every conversation you have about it has to be in a board meeting, it takes longer than you think it might. So I thought getting that in front of you as soon as possible so that you can discuss what process you want to use, have plenty of time to meet as many times as you need to identify your process, formalize it, point whomever to carry out that process, so that when you actually, I'm going to say you're going to need a good 5-6 months to conduct the process. That gives you several months before that time to get it finalized, get it ready, and know what you want to do. So we're kind of opening that conversation up for you guys today. Any questions about anything? All right. That's it for me.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, next is the HR report.
Yes,
Good afternoon, everyone. I wanted to share our upcoming supervisory training. It is going to be next Wednesday, March 20th, and we're bringing in someone from BGT Staffing that's going to talk about HR trends and things that are happening with staffing and selection. And so we're excited to have them there. We are also going to cover, you all know that every quarterly I try to bring something that is not just compliance-based, but something that's a little bit more developmental. So this month, or this quarter, we're going to do Now Discover Our Strengths. So if you're interested in that, it is I always have an assessment in there. So there's an assessment in the materials, but if you're interested in that, you can let us know, and we will talk about those top 5 strength assessments, and we'll have that in our materials as well. George will be doing a part for us, any updates and things that we have legally, anything that's going on, so he'll have that for us as well. I also wanted to introduce to you all Leah Pendarvis. I got it right. Leah Pendarvis, please stand up. She is our new training coordinator, I think that's right. I always mess up titles in there, but we are so excited. She comes from the University of Tennessee and multiple years of experience training, and so we're very excited. So she will be helping to develop our training program throughout the entire city. So thank you so very much. Thank you, Vicki, for meeting with her today and sharing some of your insight with that as well. In addition to that, I wanted to tell you that, and I want to thank Vicki again for this, helping us with some of the data. One of the things that I think is very important that you share is information about scorecards, metrics, and things that are happening within the HR world. And so Mary Margaret Mary and Nathan Wallace are two people that are responsible in our generalist staff to ensuring that we have data. So we're looking at all kinds of metrics, and Vicki has been helpful to get some of those things. But we're looking at performance measurements, as we're looking at this in training development measurements, the length of time to hire, some of those types of things that we're looking at as well. So we have lots of exit survey data. We're trying to determine, I would love to one day get an engagement survey, but all of that information they're putting together, so I'm very excited about that as well. We also submitted, every year HR has to bring, before we look at reallocations, retitles, new classes, and reclassifications. So our HR committee has done that, and we brought before four reclassifications to the civil service department that we have indicated that needed to go before promotion processes. So in essence, denied those. Vicki has agreed with our findings on that as well. So I wanted to let you know that we brought that before the civil service department. And finally, on April 3rd, Mary Margaret, as part of talent acquisition, is setting up a City of Knoxville job fair. I think it's 4 to 6 or 2 to 6? 2 to 6. 2 to 6 at the Public Works. Public Works. And so this is an opportunity as we think about ensuring that we have the right staff on board. This is the first time that we've created a major job fair that is citywide. So we're very excited. Yesterday, I was at, this past week, I've been in North Carolina presenting, and they have a PATRA, which is our TPMA, but they have a North Carolina PATRA. And one of the things that they talked about was doing a real forecast called Local Gov, where they're going to promote local government. And I was very excited to be able to share that we are doing our first local government job fair. So we are on the cutting edge. We're doing great things. So I just wanted to share that with you all. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I guess it's time to move to new business. And we have a request, item 5, request by Police Chief Paul Noel to exempt from Civil Service 1 grant-funded position of Family Services Advocate until June 30th, 2025. And you had your attachment from KPD. So do we have any, I guess let's do a motion second, then have any discussion. We'll move, any motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Does anybody need to hear any more about this? And it's folks from KPD are here, and also from our executive secretary. Is it fairly straightforward? Okay. There's no discussion. Let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Item 6, pursuant to Civil Service Merit Board 3002, request by Animal Control Officer Rhonda Bender that she be certified by the board to transfer to a lower classification of store system clerk in the police department effective April 1st, 2024. Chief Noel approves this request and certifies that she is fully qualified to fill the position. Do we have a motion?
Second.
Okay, motion second. Any discussion, questions? Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Item 7, pursuant to Civil Service Merit Board 3002, request by Animal Control Officer Senior Claudia Reagan that she be certified by the board to transfer to a lower classification of Deputy Municipal Court Clerk 1 in Municipal Court, also effective April 1st, 2024. Judge Tyler Cavanis approves this request and certifies she is fully qualified to fill the position. Again, you had your attachments there as well. We have a motion on this.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion, questions about item 7? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Okay. Ayes have it. Thank you. And then our last item, Vicki alluded to earlier, is we have the chore. We would replace Vicki, I don't know how we're gonna do that, but this regarding the upcoming vacancy in the executive secretary position effective February 1, 2025. Now that's a ways off, but I agree with you that it's difficult since we'll eventually be voting on whoever fills this position, we can't discuss it among ourselves without it being a public meeting, according to the Open Meetings Act. So I think for today, I would just say, I've given this some thought, but don't have any suggested way to proceed offhand, other than I think that's something we may want to think about and put on the next meeting as an agenda item for the board to weigh in and discuss. However, I'm open to any comments anybody has today too about how we approach this. Does anybody have, Jane, do you have some thoughts?
I agree with Vicki and you that yes, time to fill is always a daunting task, so the sooner we can start the better. So absolutely, I think coming up for April is a good time for us. And so.
Right. Any
And
thoughts?
one, thank you, Vicki, for all your years of service. I mean, it's gonna be a hard position to fill, so, I mean, you know this information so well. So, I mean, you'll be critical.
It's a ton of institutional memory.
Yes.
Yeah.
Institutional knowledge, yeah.
Sometimes it's good when institutional knowledge goes, though.
No,
Us older folks know.
Yeah.
this will be my third director change. And just to show you what, again, not to go into any detail or to drag this out, but in 1992, this was our procedure and requirements. In 2005, when Vicki came in, these, and what had changed, and what has changed for y'all in particular, the job has changed quite a bit in the last several years. So just figuring out what the job description will be and things like that will take some time. The other thing that may be unique this year, I don't know, will be that in prior years, when Bentha Roach was here, when I first started, we had the future director, executive director, that had been working here for 13 years. And it makes a big difference when you're on the job training for a long time. And then, of course, when Vicki came in, you had been here 13 years almost.
No, I've been here.
Maybe even longer.
6. I've been here 6.
6 years, okay. But it makes a difference when you already know how things work. And so that's very unique. And then one thing I will tell you, in 92 and in 2005, the time period between the date that the chairman and the board received some notice that they were about to change their executive secretary, we were able to go through the process in 5 months each time. Okay. So that gives you some idea. We've got the time to do it. I think Vicki's advice to you of starting the process now is very wise, so we can get that going, because there are some decisions you need to make. Only you can select your executive secretary by charter, period. And there are some charter requirements that we can't change and wouldn't attempt to anyway, of course. But those are laid out, and perhaps we'll be able to give you an outline of that information for the next meeting.
That would
Yes.
be good.
Or just kind of,
Overlap should there be? I mean,
my advice to Bill was, I feel like there needs to be minimal overlap. And the reason is because there aren't a lot of procedures for me to teach someone. Any procedures, you do this way, anyone on my staff is going to know how to do. Missy backs me up on any procedures or processes when I'm not here. It's a body of knowledge, and it's not a body of knowledge I can teach someone. So I don't feel like there's a strong need for overlap, really, because it's more about what they know than how they do things. So that's just my 2 cents.
And is it possible also for the next meeting to basically like, I don't know, listen out just with your current job description any kind of like analysis or suggestions that you might have to that for the incoming?
I did give Bill a kind of a tentative
Okay.
draft. If it would be helpful, just because you guys are coming at this from what all do we have to decide, what all do we have to do, would it be helpful to just kind of have a bullet list of here are things you guys need to decide.
Yep.
What's the description? What's the salary? What does the posting look like? What are the qualifications? Where do you post it? How long do you post it? Who gets the applications? These are all decisions you guys will need to make, and if it would be helpful, I can kind of make a bullet list of things that, based on, Mike's kind of got a good outline of what happened the last 2 times to sort of jog those thought processes. What did they do last time? What might you need to do? And just make a bullet list of things you guys need to decide as a group.
We've
Because
got,
that- it might take a couple
we've got
meetings to
that
get
kind of
there.
information historically. Again, the board needs to decide what they're comfortable with, what your big choices will be, and we can talk about that more in detail, is how best to take the applications and to go through them, or whether you have a selection committee to cull them down, review, those kind of things, very generally, we need to talk about, and then let your thoughts go in. The only requirement that you have is that you appoint an executive secretary who shall be qualified in personnel administration. That's all the guidance that y'all
Okay,
need.
That's all you get.
Okay. Very good. And is it possible to share some of these old processes or?
Of course,
A
of course, it is.
bullet
I
point list.
I
Possibly.
inundated Vicky with all that I
I can make
had.
a bullet list from what
Yeah.
you sent me. for each project.
Well, if there's even a list of questions that were asked,
That's great.
More info.
members of a selection
Yes.
committee, this is not new ground,
Sure.
but it's been different ground both times. So
Yeah.
maybe looking at both of it will give you some ideas.
What I found the most interesting was how many applications were received in 1992.
130.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
You know how many were received in 2005? 8.
hey,
Okay.
Now, some of that was because of the qualifications, the job description, and it weeded itself out.
Sure.
The board, just a quick thing, the board in 2005 decided to interview everybody
As a board,
as a board. So, and again, it's up to you on how you do it. Your time, and is very important. And then, of course, what the criteria are. You need to rely on Vicki and perhaps me to outline some of the things and the do's and don'ts.
Sure.
But then how you do it is y'all's decision.
I will say being interviewed at a board meeting is not amazing.
that's,
Not,
What it
yeah.
would look
not
like,
amazing.
no.
things that we're gonna need to do.
Sure.
And I think one of the big things we want to think about is if we do a selection committee, which I'm oriented toward doing that, then we'd only have one from amongst the board on that. I would think would be how that would work, or it could be this meeting of the whole of the board, but we've got some open meetings questions to deal with interviews. So we can talk about all that in depth, just strategically, and who else, and we're obviously going to want to hear from other stakeholders, employee group, ways for people to weigh in, and, there's just a lot to think about. As we set up this process, we certainly want whoever the new person is to come in with full confidence of, folks
Right.
who are dealing with them. And of course, the position has changed too with the
Significantly.
AR, so that we talked some about that too. So we'll take that in consideration as we structure this whole process. If everybody can just feel free, obviously, to get whatever info you want, reach out, from the past proceedings to, anything else you want to consult, and maybe, so next time we'll put it on as an item, discussion of the process, and anybody feel free to make suggestions for that process. I think I will do so, and
Yeah.
we'll take some time to do that, and hopefully won't have too much else on the agenda.
Thank you for the head start.
Well, you can see now why there's so many things you have to decide.
Yeah.
You're gonna need a little time
Yeah.
before you even get to where you're ready to start the
Right.
process. You don't have a process yet.
Right.
So I thought giving you several months to come up with a process might be a very great way to start.
We really appreciate
Yeah, we do,
We do.
thank you.
the more, obviously, we're not gonna be rushed.
Right.
So we can be plenty deliberative. and-
I feel like it's gonna take 11 months to roll.
Oh, it will.
Okay. Do we have any other business anybody would like to bring before the board?
What you got, Mark?
You don't have
I'm
remarks?
interested.
Prepared remarks?
We didn't get a lunch in, so.
Exactly.
You got time to get lunch. Okay, well, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Come on, Mark.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Well, it's nobody's opposed, so this meeting is concluded. Thank you.
Mark thought we had a couple.